This chapter is about planning for security, and in this chapter today we will talk about this area, how and when we can prepare plans for security in different areas. Okay. Let me start with this topic: Enterprise Information Security Policy, or ISP. Each enterprise, each company, each organization needs some policy for in the field of information security. These policies sets the strategic direction, scope, and tone of all security effort inside the organization, inside the enterprise. Okay, so we need to prepare to define these policies. And when we talk about strategic direction, scope, tone for security effort in an organization, it's trivial that those policy and those related materials, those related documents and something like that must be issued from the top level of organization. Okay. And also, we know that policy is, there are some rules and instruction and something like that. Okay. To apply those policies into our organization, we need some executive level documents. How I can apply this policy into my organization, in my enterprise? How? It's very important. These documents, these executive level documents, should be drafted by CIO of the organization, the toppest level in organization. Okay. But how we can address these issues? Planning for security, applying policies, and preparing necessary documents. How? We need to do this. We need to talk about to comply in two different areas. Okay. The first one is that we should ensure that we meet requirements to establish program and responsibility assigned to various organizational components. What does it mean? It means that I need to check that, okay, I have some policies, some executive level documents. If I want to apply these policies, running these programs, executing those documents, okay, I must check if I meet the requirements. Otherwise, I will fail. My plan will be failed. I must check the requirements. Have I those requirements in my organization? I must establish necessary programs. and other related materials. I must ensure about meeting those components, meeting requirements, and having necessary programs to do this. Okay, and also we must define some specific penalties. Okay, if you don't act based on this policy, you must pay this penalty. Okay, we need to define those penalties and disciplinary actions for those people, those employees who don't want to act based on those policies. Okay, we need to focus on this area. Okay, so I need to prepare those policies. But how? How can I define those policies, prepare the documents? How? You know, if I want to define some policies, I have different choices to define those policies. Okay, one of them is that I can prepare related security policies based on the issues in my organization. In other words, in other term, I can prepare issue-specific security policy. It means that for a specific area in technology, for example, okay, I can prepare some policy for that specific area to address that specific area of technology. Okay, that area of technology can be updated very soon. Okay, sure, I know. So frequently, I have to frequently update my policies. And inside those policies, I should state that, okay, my organization's position in relation with this specific issue is this, something like this. The position is this, something is here. Okay, I should define that position related to that specific issue. Okay, to do this, I can prepare some independent documents. I can prepare a one single comprehensive document, or I can prepare a one modular document. There are several approaches to prepare the executive documents. Okay, I can prepare different documents, maybe too many, I don't know. Maybe I can create a single comprehensive document, or maybe a modular document, a different module. It depends on the strategies in this way. There is no difference between them. Okay, it depends on the people who try to write those documents, who publish those policies. Okay, sometimes I can prepare some policy based on the systems. We call it systems specific policy. It means that I have a system inside my organization, and I need some policy related to the standards and procedures and configuration about that system, how I can maintain that system, how I can use that system. Okay, this type of policies can be a managerial guidance or technical specification. There are two different groups when we talk about system-specific policies. Technician can use that system, so I need some documents and some policies, specifications for those technicians who use that system, and also I need some top-level policies and documents for the manager of those systems, okay, those specific systems. Okay. For example, let's suppose that I have a network with a combination of Microsoft Windows and Novel NetWare families. Okay, Novel NetWare is a network operating system. I can set up Microsoft Windows in my PCs inside the network, and I can use Novel NetWare as a network operating system. Okay, having a network with collaboration of these operating systems. But if I have a network like this, one issue is this. Okay, you are using Windows and Novel NetWare together. So inside the network, we need to use access control lists. Okay, how can I translate the access control list in Windows into the access control list in Novel NetWare, or the access control list in Novel NetWare into the access control list in Windows? How can I translate them? It's an issue, and we need to define some specific policies for that system, a system with combination of Windows and Novel NetWare. Okay, access control list is very important. It's very important because it can restrict the access from different people to anywhere. Okay. And now I have two different systems. One of them is Windows, the other is Novel NetWare. They have their own languages, and they have their own procedures to work with access control lists, operating with access control lists, and something like that. Okay. And I should translate their languages together. And if you work with Windows and Novel NetWare, you know that each of those operating systems each of them has their strategy to define different rules and different policies. Okay. Mostly to apply a specific security policy, we need to write some scripts, some configuration scripts in systems to tell them, okay, you must do something like this, applying this policy, acting based on this script. Okay, we need to use those configuration scripts. Now we have two different operating systems. We should find those scripts, understand those scripts, understand their languages, their structures, and then changing them together, translating one to another. Okay. So one of the most important topics when we talk about information security in our organization is policy management. We need some people, some guys, to manage the policies. Why? Because those policies mostly needs to be updated. They constantly changes during the time. So we need some guys, some people who manage those policies. Why? Because they must be remain viable. But how? We need some policy administrators who are responsible for that policy. We need to schedule some reviews. Okay, for example, each 3 months, we must review the policies. Each 3 months, each 6 months, something like that, each year. Okay, we need to prepare a schedule for review. We need some methods to make some recommendations for reviewing. Okay, you want to review a policy? Okay, if you are trying to review a policy, use this recommendation. For example, you can prepare a flow chart. Okay, just follow this flow chart when you are reviewing this. Okay, so we need prepare some methods for this, and we need some specific policy issuance and revision dates. Okay, the last time that this policy has been revised was, for example, January 1st, 2021. Oh, 1 year ago. Yes. The last revision happened during the last year. Okay, so according to this schedule, after 1 year, I need to revise the policies. Yes, okay. Act based on these guidance, based on this flow chart. So to remain viable, we need some administrator, policy administrator. We need some schedule to review. We need some recommendations and flow charts for reviewing, and we need policy issuance and revision dates for this. If we do this, now we can prepare a blueprint, an information security blueprint for our organization. What is information security blueprint? Information security blueprint is a top-level roadmap document in information security. Why? According to this blueprint, we have some basis for designing, for selecting, for selection, for implementation of security policy, education, training, technology control, everything. So when we talk about information security blueprint, it means that we need a top-level roadmap to check it, to control it, to applied. And based on that blueprint, we can make some versions, some detailed versions. That blueprint is something like a framework, okay? It's something like a framework, but with more details. In that blueprint, we have to specify the task. Okay, this department must do this jobs. These tasks are assigned to this department. These tasks are assigned to the other departments. So according to the blueprint, we specify the task related to each of departments and employees and persons inside the organization. And they must, according to the blueprint, they know, okay, this is my responsibility in this case, in the information security cases, okay? Each people, each employee, each section, each department can realize, okay, this is your responsibility. And this blueprint must be scalable, upgradable, comprehensive. What does it mean? It means that this blueprint, after in the New Year's, during the New Year's, our blueprint must have the ability to grow. Why? Because my organization will grow during the time. So my information security blueprint must be growth. So it must be scalable, it must be upgradable, it must be comprehensive plan because of the new issues, because of the niche issues in the upcoming years. But how I can do this? How can I prepare those documents, those blueprints, and something like that? One of the best documents in this area, which can help us to prepare these documents, is the ISO 27000 series documents. ISO 27000 series documents. This series, this standards, ISO 27000 standards, is the most widely referenced and often discussed in security models. Okay. We can use these series, these documents, ISO 27000 series, to prepare our models or security models or reference or security reference. This document prepare a framework for information security. Okay, if you want to prepare those, your security policies inside your organization, okay, use this series. It's a framework. It guides you to provide correct directions and supports in this way to prepare those security policies and planning them. Another useful publication is a NIST special publication 800-14. It's another security support mission documents for different organizations. In the case of security management. Okay. Inside this document, we learn that the security must be cost effective. The owner must knows their responsibilities inside and outside the organization. Their responsibilities must be accountable explicitly. My responsibilities and the accountability, they must be explicit. It means that they must be clear. Okay, my responsibility in this plan is this. It's completely clear. And how they can check my responsibility. Do I act based on my responsibility, yes or no? Okay, everything is clear, is explicit. But these responsibility, these accountability issues requires comprehensive and integrated approaches. Okay, you can use these documents. And even we need to periodically reassess those documents, those reports, those documents. Okay. The NIST special publication will help us even for periodically reassess cases, because mostly people security is constrained by social factors. Okay, and even one more good reference. You know, my first reference was ISO 27000 documents. The second one was the NIST 800-14 recommendations. The third one is using baselining and best practice in different business. Okay, what did the other do in the case of security? If I receive enough information about the other's activity in the case of security practice, I can use them. In those best practice, the organization prepared lots of details. Okay, I can use those details instead of applying a complete methodology to doing something. I can prepare less details in this case. I can gain those information by baselining and using best practice. And if I use best practice and baselining from different companies and organizations, I know that, for example, the organization X used this strategy. Okay, I can check it. That organization is success. Okay. So if I follow that strategy, I can be successful. my design, my security design could be effective. Okay, they follow that strategy, and we can see those drawbacks here. Okay, if I use that strategy, how can I overcome to those drawbacks? Okay, using method A, B, C, or something like that. Okay, I can gain those information in baselining, in best practice, to prohibit backwards, to remove backwards, to have an effective design. Here in the USA, we have Federal Agency Security Practice, fas.nis.gov. This agency, this best security practice in NIS, is prepared, design the best practice in different. It's designed to provide best practice for different public agencies, and is adapted to easily to private institution. It means that, for example, if I want to use, if I decided to use these security practice here inside my organization, for example, inside the Arab University, okay, I can use this best practice here. There are several best practices here, and I can follow those best practice and adopt them with my conditions inside the organization. I like this charts here. You can find some spheres of security. They are very interesting. Look at this one here, the circle in the right and in the left. In both of them, you can see that in the center of them, we have information or topics. We are trying to talk about information security. So information is placed in the center of these spheres. But the most interesting item in these charts is that you can see half of these spheres is related to systems, networks, and internet. And the second half of these spheres is related to people. Look at this one here. You can use different security technologies, security policies, security issues, everything. You can use different security tools. When, for example, I want to prepare an access from network to specific systems, or from a specific system to information, or from internet to network to systems. Okay, you can see them, those technology here. For example, we can use redundancy, we can use monitoring systems, we can use patching and upgrading, host IDs, firewall, network IDs, proxy servers, encryption, backup, and different items. Okay. In the left half, I can see there are several layers, at least 3 layers: systems, network, and internet. And in each of those layers, the relation between those layers, you can use different strategies. But in the right half side of these charts, we can see the people. What does it mean? It means that if you have the best technology, best policies, everything. You can, if you have if you are number one in the whole related technologies related to security, it's not important. Maybe a weak people could break it. Where is it? If you remember, we have a sentence, we have a good sentence. We say that the power of your security equals to the power of the weakest link. And now here you can see half of security is related to people, to employees who are working inside the organization. And if even you prepare different topics, it's not important. If you prepare the best security solutions, if you're having the best security technology, still people are in your organization. And we have to prepare some plans for those people to reduce their risk, their security risks. Especially when we talk about education and training, when we are applying policies and laws, we need to control those people. In this figure here, you can see different security elements. But let me talk in generally. Let's suppose that I need to design a security architecture. Okay. When I'm talking about security architecture, it means that I need to provide and having lots of detail and knowledge in the field of information security. You know, the management must control everything inside the organization. So when I'm talking about security architecture, I need some controls, some designed controls to cover the whole security process inside my organization. It means that I need some strategic planner, I need security administrator to plan that security architecture and confirm those security administration performed by security administration. I need operational controls. With the operational functionality of security organization, I need technical controls to address tactical and technical implementation. I'm using some technologies. Okay, I need some technical controls. So it means that when I'm talking about security architecture, I need some management controls, I need some operational controls, I need some technical controls. So I'm looking for a multi-layer security architecture. A multi-level security architecture. One more important thing. When we are talking about security architecture, we have different strategies here. One of them is defense in depth. The other is defense in width. Defense in depth means that I must implement my security tools and strategies in different layers. And in each of those layers, I have to prepare sufficient security controls and safeguards and something like that. In each of those layers, I have multi-layer security architecture, and inside each of those layers, I need to prepare sufficient security controls and safeguards. Okay, look at this one here. Back here, look at this one here. I have different layers: information systems, network, and internet. And in the relation between each of those layers, look at this one here. In each of those layers, I can use different strategies. For example, in the relation between systems and information, I can use encryption, I can use backups strategy, and access controls. When I'm talking about the relation between network and systems, I can use access control technology, I can use host IDs, patches and upgrade, monitoring systems, and redundancy. We have different layers, and in each of those layers, we can we are using different safeguard technologies, different access control technologies. This is a good example for defense in depth. When we are talking defense in width, it means that in each of those layers, what we can do in each of those layers. For example, in the relationship between the networks layer and the system layers, I can use access control, I can use host IDs, I can use patches and upgrades, I can use monitoring systems, and I can use redundancy. Defense in width means that in each of those layers, which access controls, which technologies, which safeguard technologies can be used. Here, when we are talking about security architecture, we need a security perimeter. What does it mean? Security perimeter is a point. Excuse me. Security perimeter is a point. Is a border between my organization and the rest and outside of my organization. In border, my security protection would be end. Okay, my security protection techniques, tools ends at the border, and outside of that security perimeter, we have another word. It's not our word or organization word. So that point is important for us. We must define that point. Where is my security perimeter? Why that point is important? You know, inside the organization, I trust to my employees, but outside the organization, no. It means that I have different types of attacks from outside to inside. When I compare those attacks with the attacks started with the employees inside the organization, they are completely different. Mostly the peoples who are working for my organization are safe, mostly. Yes, maybe sometimes they prepare some attacks. They do something bad. Okay, maybe I accept this. But mostly, for example, the theft, a robber, an employee inside the organization is not a robber, mostly. Not always, mostly. The robber is a person outside of my organization. So I cannot apply the security guards and security controls in both of those cases for internal attack or external attacks. Okay? Their threats are completely different. The threats comes from the internal employee, and the threats comes from my external people. Okay. Which technology I can use? There are several technologies in security we can use. One of them is firewall. Firewall is a tools that select which information can pass the border and goes into the organization and which of them cannot. Okay, we will talk about firewall in the future. DMZ, demilitarized zone. It's a place between the internal network and the external network. It's a LAN, it's a LAN between the inside and outside networks. Mostly we implement or public servers in DMZ. Okay. The other tool is IDS. It's an offline tools to detect the efforts for unauthorized access to, in different part of networks. Okay. Here you can see this. The outside is an untrusted network. Here we can see that perimeter point. Inside the network, here, inside the network, the traffic would be routed to the DMZ section. And if it's necessary, then those systems are protected by these firewalls. And only these systems can access the server in MZ area. MZ means militarized zone. MZ area inside my organization. It's a combination of proxy, firewall, and DMZ in this figure. Okay. One more important thing. As I show, in the security sphere, half of the security is related to people. Half of the security. So it's important for us. How can I decrease the threats comes from the people? How can I decrease them? The answer is easy. Training and education and awareness program. How? I need education, I need training. You know, inside my organization, some security policies exist. Okay. We need to use educated people, employees. We need to prepare training courses, training periods for the employees. Why? Because based on those programs, training, education, awareness programs, I can reduce the chance of security breaches. Okay? Because it's SETA, security, education, and training awareness. We say that SETA is a control measure designed to reduce accidental security breaches. This sentence is very important. SETA is a control measure designed to reduce accidental security breaches. What does it mean? If you remember in past sessions, we say that sometimes employees doing something bad. Okay? For example, I break something. I break a rule. Maybe my work is happened based on accident. Oh, I don't want to do that, but it was an accident. Sorry for that. It was an accident. But sometimes I want to intend it. There are some intentional activities. It means that I do it with complete knowledge. It's something intentional. It's different about applying something accidental. They are completely different. Okay. Accident is accident. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't want to do that, but it's happened. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay? It's something accidental, but intentionally, okay. No, I did it myself. What do you want? What do you want to say? I did it myself. Yes, that's it. There are two different areas. When we are planning for SETA, for education, training, and awareness in the field of security, it means that I want to reduce the accidental security breaches. Not the intentional ones. It's something else. Intentional security breaches is something else. I know they are very dangerous. I know, but if someone decided to do something intentional, how can I define it? Can I find it? You know, it's something else. But by applying education, hiring new employees with higher level of education, um, preparing different different training courses, something like that, and awareness programs for people. I can reduce the risks of happening something else. Reduce the risk of accidental security breaches. Why? Because based on those security, those education, those awareness, I can build some general knowledge about it in my employees. Okay, what is your job? What is your responsibility? And if you act against this responsibility, what will happen? My employees, based on setup program, my employees know that, okay, if I do this, I can secure my job. You know, yes, maybe something happened by accidentally. Okay, I know, but I will reduce the risk of happening something like that. So we must be care about security education. We must be care about training, security training. We must be care about security awareness. We must be care about the whole of those items. But let me talk more about them. When we are talking about security education, it means that every people inside the organization need to be trained and aware about the information security. Maybe you say, okay, should they have, for example, formal degrees, for example, uh, university degrees or something like that, or having some different, some special certificate or something like that? No. If they have, it's very good. Okay. If someone has formal education, it's very good. And if you look around yourself, you can see that the people with higher level of formal education, they are safe, more safe than the rest of employees. And if I try to uh, prepare some education programs for them, okay, I should prepare a higher level of education for them. For example, our current course. Our current course is a university course. We are talking about information security and how we can make security in our organization. It's a formal course inside the organization, and you can use this course in your work. So I can say this course is a part of security education in your organization. Okay, but sometimes we need security training. It means that for some people we need to prepare some extra educations, call it them training, in some specific fields. We need detailed information in some specific cases. For example, we need the people who are in IT department. I must prepare training periods for them to learn them. What should I do against, for example, intrusions? You know, how can I react against intrusions? It's a specific period of training. This period is useful only for IT department, not, for example, financial department. You know, it's security training. So when we are talking about security training, it means that we need a customized training. Customized training for different parts of my organization. I can prepare those trains by using by hiring people who are inside my organization, or maybe I can outsource those training programs. Someone else, some other companies comes and train my employees. Okay, they are different. The third one is security awareness. You know, I passed some education levels. Okay, I passed some training periods. Okay, is it enough? No. Why? Because I'm a human. During the time, I will forget some rules, some policies. I will forget. So we need security awareness program. It means that I should prepare some I don't know. I can use different tools to keep informed the people who are working inside my organization about security risks. It's not something complicated or expensive. For example, I can prepare some printing some pages, okay? And inside those pages, those prints, I can prepare some security declaration. Okay, be aware about the spies who are calling you on the phone. Don't install everything. Don't join to some don't use, for example, the messengers inside the company. Please don't use your sticks memory inside the company, and something like that. Okay, just you need to print something, some pages, okay, and put them in corridors or sending uh, those awareness um, declarations to as an email, sending as an SMS, um, as a regular letter to employees, you know, or repeating them by a speaker, something like that. You know, the awareness program, security awareness program, is not something complicated. It's not something expensive, but it's very important. We can use easy tools, easy ways. Why? Why I should this program? Why I need this program? If you remember in the past slides, I said that I'm using setup program to reduce the chance of accidental security breaches. Okay, I'm using security awareness program to reduce the risk of those accidental or accidental security breaches. Okay, please be care about the infected links. Please don't click on the links send it via SMS to your phone. Send it via WhatsApp, Telegram, or something like that. Don't download the programs, softwares from Telegram. Don't download the softwares from WhatsApp or something like that. You know, they are simple reports, simple sentence. I can send them easily. It's not something complicated. Okay. If you remember in the past, if you remember when we talk about the main threats related to threats of threat related to the information security, we say that okay, there are several types of threats, 12 types. There were 12 types of threats, and I say that one of them was force of nature, earthquake, flood, uh, fire, something like that. How can I act against those force of natures, those items, those disasters? To act against them, we need to prepare three different plans: incident response plan, disaster recovery plan, and business continuity plan. IRP, DRP, and BCP. Disaster incident response plan means that I respond immediately. It responds to an accident. Something happens, and what should I do right now? For example, I should block something. I should turn off something. I should cut, for example, uh, the network. What should I do right now? IRP focuses on immediate response. Why? Because if I don't stop the incident, maybe in higher level, it becomes a disaster. And at that time, for example, a fire. A fire. What will happen? For example, I can see there's a fire inside a classroom. Okay? What will happen if I don't extinguish the fire? Maybe it became extinguished by itself, maybe. But in the other hand, that fire may destroy the whole buildings. You know, in IRP, we focus on immediate response. But if that incident continues, it can change the situation and becomes a disaster. So I need a disaster recovery program plan or DRP. And what should I do after the disaster? BCP, Business Continuity Plan. After the disaster, I should continue my work, my job. I should continue my organization's objectives. I know a disaster happens and I lost too many things, but it's not the end of the world. I should stand again. I should stand and continue my business. So I need a program to continue my business. I need business continuity plan. Look at this one here. In IRP, I should detect an incident and react against it and recover it. But if the incident is big, so it's a disaster, I should start the DRP program, reacting against that disaster. I need a disaster recovery program. And when we are talking about BCP, you know, BCP happens starting after the DRP. Okay, the DRP, the disaster happened, and I'm doing something to recover it. Okay. Look at this one here. Attack hours, post-attack hours. The attack is finished. What should I do right now? The attack is finished. After the attack, what should I do? It's continuity reaction. Maybe during an earthquake, I lost my company's site, my main site of company. Okay, what should I do after that? Where is my alternative site? Have I an alternative site? Yes or no? If I have, I should move my business to that alternative site. Maybe, okay? Maybe it takes some days. Yes, I know. But after that, I can continue my business from the alternative site. So I need to be care about those items. Let me check something. Okay. According to this, I need to plan. I need to prepare some plans. I need to create a team to plan for those items, to plan for IRP, for DRP, and BCP. Okay, I need to plan about the efforts and preparing the resulting documents. To having those plans, IRP, DRP, and BCP. It's a high-level manager documents. So the highest level of management in the company must protect it, must support it. So the project manager must be sure about the whole process. The whole process of developed completely resources and project. Okay. We need to create a team, prepare a team. Managers of the company, they must be involved. Different people in different communities inside my companies. In people who are in the financial department, people who are in security department, people who are in IT department, several communities of employees can be joined to this team, can be members of this team. But before talking about those items, IRP, DRP, and BCP, with more details, let me talk about this slide. My company receives an attack. Okay. During the time, my company would be affected by different types of attacks. But I know that. But what is the impact of those attacks on my business? You know why? Sometimes I can accept the result of some attacks. Sometimes I can bypass the results, moving the results from one section to one department, one area to another area. Sometimes I can defeat the attacks, completely prevent the attacks. Okay, so I have different strategies to act against a new attack. But the question is this: which of them are important? It depends. So I should analyze the impact of different attacks on my business. To do this, we have 5 different stages. Firstly, I should identify the attacks and prioritize them. I should analyze the business units 3. I should develop some attack success scenario. 4. I should assessment the potential damage. Okay, if this attack happens successfully, what is the result? The potential result. The potential damage. And I need subordinate plan for classification. So before talking about the attacks and what should I do about those attacks, before of them, firstly I should define that if one attack is important for us or no. Should I respond to this attack or no? I should respond to such questions. You know why? Because my money is limited. I have a limited budget. So I cannot cover the whole threats, the whole attacks. I have a limited budget and I can cover some limited, just a few numbers of attacks or risks. I can cover just a few of them, not the whole of them, So I need business impact analysis. I have to do it firstly, and after that, select those items that I must cover them. Decided what should I do with different attacks, different threats. Okay. We have a 10 minutes break. Okay. Currently is 10 minutes to 5. We will continue our course in 10 minutes. Okay. Have a break for 10 minutes, starting from now, right now. Okay. I will continue the course after 10 minutes. I will pause the recording and I will be back in 10 minutes, next 10 minutes. Back to the course. We say that we must prepare 3 different plans. The first one was incident response plan. It's the first plan. When an incident happens, we must immediately identify that incident, classify it, and respond to that incident. Okay. How can I classify an incident? It depends. For example, maybe an incident has a direct effects on my information assets. So I must classify it as a top rank incident. Maybe I can work on that, have a realistic chance of success. Can this incident have it enough chance to be realistic? Happens, and it could be success. Could it threaten the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of my information? Based on something like this, and based on the threat level of that incident against my information property, information resource. I can decide about the class of that attack, and based on that class, after classification and defining a class, based on that class, I can react against that attack. Make a reaction against that attack. You know, sometimes we can say, okay, what about a proactive response? Instead of having a reaction, what about having a proactive response? What does it mean, having reactive and proactive? You know, incident may happen just in a few times. For example, fire. Maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe after 10 years we have a fire. Maybe. So I cannot, it's not, would be too expensive if I have a proactive plan for firing. Proactive plan for fire means that, for example, hiring a person or a tool acting against fire. It should be ready forever. Maybe a fire happens. Why? Why should I pay for that? Hiring a person or tools forever. Maybe one fire happens after 10 years, 20 years, I don't know. So the incident response plan is a reactive plan. It means that an incident must be happen, and after that I will react against that. Yes, I must prepare my IR team. They must be ready to react to that incident very quickly. You know, I must prepare for that. I must be ready for that. I know. But it's a reactive. Why? Why it's reactive? Because incidents are chips. If I compare it with a disaster, the total amount of damage happened by incident is not too important. So we can quickly react against, for example, fire or something like that, and cover the damages easily. It's not expensive. But when we talk about disaster, it's something else. You know, if I want to if I decided to incident planning, the first step I should predefine the response. First, I should predefine the responses against that threat, that incident. Why? Because the organization must be enabled to react quickly and effectively against that incident. So the organization must have an IR team, and it can detect the incident. Who are the member of IR team? Maybe individuals who are responsible, who must handle the incident, handle the systems affected by the incident. Okay, they are IR team, but the planners for incident for IRP must develop enough guidance and reacting documents and recovering documents against each of those incidents. So I must define it, declare it, and I must prepare guidelines and reactions and recovering form. I must prepare enough document to act against those incidents. Maybe someone says that, okay, how can I detect an incident? It depends. Maybe mostly people use technologies. For example, you can install some fire sensors in your home, your house, and they can alarm. Oh, there is a fire or something like that in that place. Maybe someone asks the help desk, okay, there's a fire here or something like that here. You know, it's not important the way that we detect the incident, but what is important is that we should be aware about the careful training. We should train our employees carefully. Why? They should quickly identify the threat and classify it and call the help desk. Okay, an incident happened here. You know, I should prepare careful training for identification, quickly identification, and classification of that incident. And or using technology, or I don't know, you know, by this, the organization can respond quickly to that incident. They can react. Okay, based on this guidance, these documents, to stop this incident, I should do this in this way. I should react in this way. Or maybe sometimes I cannot stop this incident. Okay, how can I mitigate the impact of this incident? How should I recover information after this incident? You know, previously I prepared the necessary documents. I applied the training, and now my organization can react quickly. But two more important actions during the reacting against an incident. First, I should notify the key personnel of the team, the IR team. Second, I should document the incident. Why? Why I should document the incident? During the first slides of this session, I said that I need to revise the policy documents. I need to schedule some reviews and revise the documents, security documents. You know, After an incident happened, I should document it. Why this incident happened? What was the result? What did we do? What was the result? What did we for recovering? We should document everything, the whole things. This document can help us during the reviewing security policies. Okay, according to this document, an incident happens here, and it shows that our strategy to stop that incident was weak. We need to change our strategy, our policy. So documenting an incident, it's very important. One more important thing. Before incident can be contained, areas affected must be determined. If a fire happened here, for example, in classroom, which area around this classroom would be affected? It's very important. Answering to this question is very important. Why? Because when the organization, the IR team, try to stop an incident or mitigate the incident or recover, applying the recovery control, this information, area affected by that incident, this information is very important. Okay, if it happens, the electrical circuits would be happen. For example, the natural gas pipes would be happen. The water pipe would be affected. Natural gas pipes would be affected. So break the natural gas, break the water, cut the electricity, cut the natural gas. It's very important. We have to find and define the affected area. How we can recover an incident? An incident happened, and we control it. Okay, an incident happened, and we control the incident. What is the next step? The next step is recovery. Quickly, after the incident, quickly, I should document. Okay, these resources are affected. How many human resources we need? Which type of specialty we need? Which type of tools we need? How many budget we need? We must analyze the damage completely. But firstly, we should identify human resource needed for this analyze and recovery. After analyzing, after assessment, we can try to repair the damages. Okay. These tools, these items are affected by this incident, and also we can report and address. Okay, these safe parts are not enough. We have some shortage here. We need to recover this type of data. Okay, we can do that. But again, after an incident, we have to do damage assessment. It means that we need to review the whole logs, system logs, detecting logs, configuration logs, document, everything. We have to assessment everything review everything to prepare detailed assessment about the systems and data storage. Everything must be collected carefully. Everything must be collected carefully and documented. Why? Because and maintained. Maybe in the future we need them. Maybe, for example, if we need to go to court, we need evidence. Okay. So we need to collect, document, maintain everything in an acceptable format. Maybe formal or informal, I don't know. But we need to collect them. And this collection, this damage assessment must be done by some specialists, the person who are trained for this. Each people cannot do that. We need some specialists for this damage assessment. In current days, we can use some autonomous system to react automatically against those incidents. They have lots of benefits for us, and most of times nobody needs to work with them. They are acting separately. But maybe one of their downside is that maybe sometimes some automated systems have some limitations. Sometimes, if we try to use those automated response systems, we should be clear about their responsibilities, their capabilities against their, we should compare their benefits against their limitations. Why? Because sometimes we can use those automated response systems into committing a crime. Maybe a crime happens. If you use automated response system, we can use them in this area. Why this item entrapment is important? We have a word entrapment and the other one enticement. They are completely different. Enticement is legal and ethical, while entrapment is not legal, it's not ethical. those systems can be used, maybe they can be used for entrapment. Entrapment means that somebody do something hidden, but nothing happens. Somebody doing something, but nothing happens. And before happening something, I said, okay, based on these evidence, you decided to do something like this. You decided to do, for example, a terrorist attack, something like that, a biological attack. We call it entrapment. How you say that he tried to do that? How? Maybe he regret. Maybe he regret before doing something. For example, I decided to theft something. I decided to steal something, rob something. Someone said, and the police comes and, okay, you decided to rob something else, something blah blah blah. Okay. Oh, you are under arrest and you must go to prison. Why? Because you decided to rob. This one is not legal. Why? Because I do nothing. So the police cannot arrest me just because I decided to do that. Entrapment is illegal. It's not ethical. But yes, you can enticement. I know that he decided to rob something. Okay. I can wait for him. After he robbed, I can arrest him. Yes, this one is legal and ethical. So when we are using automated response tools to respond to the incident threat, we must be clear about this. Those tools can be used as an entrapment, which is not legal or ethical. Yes, if you use them for as an enticement tool, yes, it's legal and ethical. The second plan is disaster recovery plan. What is this? It's a plan to prepare to preparation for a disaster, to recovery from a disaster. When we are talking incident, it's a limited event, but a disaster is not a limited disaster. Is not a limited event. Disaster is a bad event with large amount of damages. It means that maybe a disaster happened and my company, my business collapsed completely. So DRP is very important. What should I do? A disaster happened. What should I do now? Because I should be clear about the contingency of continuity of my business. What should I do? So when we try to identify and classify a disaster, After classification, the disaster, all plans to respond a disaster is different with our plan when we decided to answer an incident. Incident is limited, but I cannot control a disaster. For example, a flood. I cannot control a flood. I cannot control an earthquake, stop an earthquake. Okay, I cannot stop an earthquake, a flood, a fire. So at that time, instead of trying to stop disaster, doing something like that, no, I should pick up my valuable assets. Why? I have a limited time. I have not enough time to pick up everything. Just I have a limited time. So I must select, okay, these items are most valuable assets in my business. So only I should secure them. In disaster recovery plan, I'm thinking about the future. After DRP, we need to prepare another, along with DRP, we need to prepare BCP. BCP means that a disaster happens and it had bad impacts, negative impacts on my business operations. Okay? And maybe my business became unusable. I cannot continue my operation. What should I do now? A disaster happened, the buildings are destroyed. What should I do now? How can I continue my job, my business? I need a plan to allow the business to continue its functionality. Yes, maybe BCP is somewhat simpler than IRP and DRP. Why? Because in BCP we only talk about some primary items. For example, we should select a continuity strategy. We should integrate off data sites storage, and we should talk about how we can recover data. How can I recover? How I can recover my business or something like that. BCP is something simpler. In IRP and DRP, I should quickly think, classify, detect, think, classify, and react against incident and disaster. But in BCP, what should I do for the future in my business? There are a number of different strategies for planning BCP. And the main factor between those strategies is cost. Again, cost, budget. Which strategy is the best? It depends on your budget and the cost. There are 3 different executive options, exclusive options: hot site, warm sites, and cold sites. When we are using hot sites, it means that I have a secondary site completely similar to my main site. Completely. Everything run in my first site must be run simultaneously. must be run on the second site. Two parallel sites doing similar functionalities. Completely parallel. It's too costly. We call it hot site. The other option is warm site. I have a secondary site. It's completely equipped, but is off. The site is off. When a disaster happens in the first site, I can move to the second site, to the warm site, and start it. Yes, there is a delay between them. But after a while, the warm site would be up and act such as the primary site. Okay? And the last one is cold site. Cold site means that, I have another site, but it's not equipped. If something bad happens, I should travel to that site, equip it firstly, and after that, continue my business over there. So, hot site, warm site, and cold site, they are completely different. Which of them is good? All of them. It depends on your budget, on your money. But we can use time sharing, we can use service bureaus and mutual agreement in the whole strategies. Okay. One more important thing. How can I keep my data storage? My data storage is the main and the most important part of my property, my assets in information security. And if I decided to move to the secondary site, to another site, I should bring the data storage from the first site to the second site. How can I port those data to the new sites, to the new systems? There are different strategies. For example, you can use electronic valuating, you can use remote journaling, or you can use database shadowing. It depends on your choice, on your conditions. For example, if you use database shadowing, it means that you can use internet or data platform, data networks, and send the information inside your database to a remote database. So everything in database A would be copied to database B at the same time using data networks. Remote journaling means that, pick the whole hard disk, tapes, and everything, and put them on the truck, and go to the new site. It's remote journaling. Or you can use electronic valuating, something like that. One of the most important things in BCP is crisis management. What is crisis management? After a disaster happens, okay? For example, let's suppose we have an earthquake. Let's suppose that an earthquake happened in Iraq, for example. Okay, when it happens, the whole people in the Iraq city would be affected by the earthquake. Not only the University of Iraq affected by the earthquake. No, the whole city would be affected. And one of the most valuable assets in information security is people. people will be affected by the earthquake, by the flood or something like that. When we are talking about crisis management team is responsible for managing events from an enterprise perspective and cover, So we have a crisis management team. They are responsible from an enterprise perspective. The university must have a crisis management team. This team is responsible for the employees and people who are inside the university. The professors, the employees, the students, the crisis management team is responsible for them. What should I do? What should they do? They should support persons and their families during the crisis, after the earthquake. They should determine the impact on normal business. They should operation, if necessary, making disaster declaration. They should keep the public informed. Okay, after the disaster, for example, we lost three employees, two, for example, professors, and for example, 10 students. Okay, keeping the public informed and communicating with major customers, suppliers, partner, regulatory agencies, and other items. This is the responsibility of crisis management. A disaster happens, and a crisis happened because of that disaster, and we lost some of our valuable assets, some of our peoples. For example, if I lost a laptop, a computer, okay, I can buy it in the future. It's not important. But if I lost, for example, a professor, it's not easy to replace a professor. To hire a new professor, okay, come to my university and pass the whole steps to be hired in the university, and and after that, go to this class and teach. I don't know what is this material. It's not easy to replace that people. Yes, maybe some people can be replaced. For example, some employees. Or if we lost some students, for example, maybe in the next year, new students would be joining to the university. Okay, but some items, no. So the crisis management team must support personnel and people who are working for the organization, who are collaborating with the organization. They must keep the public informed what happens for us. Okay, what should I do for those plannings and those documents? Maybe we can use a single document set to prepare a document for the whole of those plans, for IR, DR, and everything. Okay. If we use a single document set for IRP, DRP, and BCP, this strategy only can be used for a smaller organization. Okay, as we need development test engine, something like that. And we can, but for the bigger organization, we need different documents for each of those plans. Here, for this case, we can use the model have been used by other organizations in this area. You know, we have 6 steps for planning documents when we are trying to prepare the documents for different plans. We have 6 difference in this case. Identifying mission or business critical functions. Identifying resources that support those critical functions. Anticipating potential contingency or disaster. Selecting contingency planning strategies. Implementing contingency strategies. Testing and revising the strategies. You know, first I should define my critical functions, my resources related to those critical functions, and okay, this disaster may happen. How can I support and protect these resources, this functionality in my organization? And implementing those strategies and testing, revising them. After these plans became completed, I should document them, put them in a specific books, something like this one, IRP and DRP. These books here, or these notebooks here, you can see there are different specific characterization in these notebooks. For example, in the back of this book, we need a label, IR or DRP label or something like that. This label must be labeled in red, with reflective red, with yellow tape. Why? Because, for example, if in the night, in dark, in the case with low light, I try to find this notebook using yellow tapes with reflective red, reflective colors and something like that, I can find it easily. It's very important. I should find this document very easily. Or for example, here, inside this document, you can see some labels. Okay, I'm looking for something, for example, in the case of fire. Using this label, I can go directly to fire section. Okay, this is fire section and write that section. What should I do right now? In the case of incident, in the case of disaster. So we must, after finishing the plans, we must document them, and that document must have a special format. We have to find this document in the shortest time. We have to find it very easily. Find the related area quickly. One more important thing, law enforcement involvement. You know, let's suppose an incident happened in my company. Sometimes this incident happens because of violation of some laws. And based on our previous topics, we have to determine it. Okay, something bad happens, and now a law must enforce. A law, maybe an international law, maybe a national law, maybe a state law, maybe an organization law, I don't know. Local law, organization law, I don't know. But maybe because of some violations, law enforcement may happen. So in this case, we should answer this question. When should organization get law enforcement involved? What level of law enforcement agency should be involved? Local, state, federal, national, international, okay? And what happened when law enforcement agency is involved? We must answer these three questions. Remember, we must answer these three questions. And maybe the legal department in the organization must answer to these questions. Why? Why? It's very important. Law enforcement has some advantages. For example, the agency may be better equipped at processing evidence. Organization may be less effective in convicting suspects. Law enforcement agencies are prepared to handle any necessary warrants or something. And law enforcement is skilled to obtain witness or something like that. Okay, these are advantages. A law enforced by the, for example, national law or state law. If I follow the law, enforce the law, they can help me in some cases. But the law enforcement has some disadvantages too. Why? If we accept a law enforcement agency comes inside to my organization, once a law enforcement agency enters and take over the case, my organization will lose its complete control on the chain of events. It's not under the control of my company. For example, the court and the police comes, and I don't know what will happen after that. The organization may not hear about the case for weeks or months. For example, someone killed in my organization. The police will follow the inspections, doing something. Maybe some in the place that someone murdered. Okay, in that place, the police comes and okay, this area is closed. Nobody can enter to this close because it's an evidence. Okay, the police says something like this. But what will happen? My vital equipment for my business is inside in this place, and this place is closed by the police. I cannot enter and use that equipment. What should I do? It's a disadvantage. Okay, police department, can I continue my business? I lost my business, I lost my employees, I lost my profit. Please remove these limitations. Let me do my job. When you accept law enforcement, you must be clear about these disadvantages. And as a last slide, any society would give up a little liberty to give a little security, will deserve neither and lose both. Benjamin Franklin, one of the past American presidents. This sentence is very interesting. We have to give up some of our liberties. Why? To gain a little security. If you remember in the first chapter, I said that, okay, security is an art. Security is a science. In the first chapter, we have a figure of balance. And we said that, okay, if you choose a tight security issue, tight security controls, you will lose your usefulness. People cannot work with your system easily. And if you remove your security items, security controls, yes, people can act more freely than previous. But the security risk will increase in your organization. So we say that we need a balance between the controls and usability in our organization, security controls and usability in our organization. And here, Benjamin Franklin says a similar fact, giving some liberty to gaining some security is the best option for us. It's the best option for us. Okay, it was the last slide. You can read the brief review of computer technology yourself. It's not part of our course. Thank you for joining the class. On Friday, we will have the new exam of chapter 3 on Friday afternoon. Okay, on Friday afternoon we will have exam of chapter 3. Be careful and join the exam. If you have some problems with the LMS during the exam, if you find some problems, you can enter and join the exam again. I allowed it. You can join the exam again. So be relaxed during the exam and just take the exam. Okay, any question? Any question?